Hello. Ooh. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the home breakout room. And the first session of today's breakout room is around early intervention and prevention. So we've got two presentations for you first from charities in the sector that are delivering innovative practice. And then we will finish with a panel where others will come and join on stage, and we will go through some questions in relation to what other aspects of early intervention and prevention could we all be thinking about and should we be thinking about to help improve the sector. All of the breakout rooms are intended to be solution focused, so they are about bringing to the table and to the forefront of all of our minds things that are either already working, things that are proven and having impact already, or things that we should be thinking about developing and delivering in the future. I've been walking around the corridors saying this is the best breakout room. I'm more than happy to have feedback as to whether you agree with that at the end of the sessions. And we will kick off straight away with our first presentation, which is from Jules Hillier in Pause. Welcome, Jules.
Thank you. I'm really not fully sure how to follow that incredible presentation we've just had up in the main room. So you'll just have to kind of, give me goodwill for doing that, And I will try and be as brief as I can because I know we're slightly behind. I'm sure that there may be some of you in the room who know Pause and are wondering what on earth I am doing standing up and talking in an early intervention session. Because Pause works with women who have had children taken into care or are at risk of having children taken into care. And in the majority of those cases, any early intervention that was put in place for those women clearly hasn't succeeded. That practice work that we do with women who've had multiple children taken into care is one element of the work that we do, and I will come on to where it fits into an early intervention space in a second. We also try and draw on the expertise of the women that we have worked with. 2,000 women have completed the Pause programme. They've had between them, before they started the programme, 6,500 children taken into care. And we work with them when they don't have children in their care and when they're not pregnant in a really intensive way to try and break that cycle of repeated pregnancies followed by the removal of children. And we draw on our learning and we work in partnership with local authorities to try and change the systems and change the policies around the families that the women come from in order to try and make a difference to the next generation of children that those women have had taken into care. This will be very familiar to you. The women that we work with have difficult, dangerous lives. Some of these will be underreported. We think that we understand that by the time women have finished working with us, almost 100% of them have come from violent or difficult relationships. So we're talking about a group of women that many of you will recognise the families of and will recognise the women themselves, who have had incredibly difficult lives, and 40% of them were care experienced, and those are the ones that were formally care experience. We think there are many more in the women that we work with who probably needed different support when they were children. I'm going to show you a very, very quick video because one of the things I always try and do whenever I have an opportunity to talk about Pause is give you a sense of the women, and I can't give you that myself. It's much better for you to hear it from them. I think I'm going to click and the video's going to play. Is that right? I'm getting a thumbs up.
If you read my file, there's no way you get the full picture of my life. Looking back, I never had a proper childhood, never had a real family. Didn't know what one was. There was violence and anger. I hardly ever got fed. I saw things a kid shouldn't see. I never had love. When I got pregnant, I had a purpose, and then we were like a proper little family. The kids were my world. I wanted to give them the love I never had. I wanted it so bad that, well, I didn't see the signs. He was nice to start with, but then my head was in a bad place. The drinking helped me cope, but I just lost myself more. I was trying to carry on. I was scared if I told anyone, they would take the kids away. My social worker took me and the kids to hospital. I couldn't leave them with him. I just wanted support. The court said the kids were at risk. They couldn't live with me anymore. I felt empty. I had no one. Looking at their empty bedrooms was like looking at a hole in my heart. Then, when we had another child, I thought things would be different. But no, nothing changed. It was so hard. I was lost. I didn't know where to go next. Then I met Tia from Pause. First, I wanted nothing to do with her. So many professionals have come along and just dropped me, so why bother? But we talked. She actually listened to me. She weren't judging it were okay to get things wrong. I got cross with her loads. We didn't always agree, we still don't, but she didn't give up on me. She helped me find my confidence. Tia helped me look at my life, not as a mum, as me. We talked. It was hard, but together we found the help I needed. Like finally accepting I needed support with my mental health and finding somewhere safe to live. We did things together, art and crafty things. Had coffee together. I started to trust her. She helped me see what a healthy relationship is. She helped me think about what to write in letters to the kids. Our relationship got better. I started to believe in myself. She introduced me to other women who'd lost their kids. We got close because, we know what each other has been through. We support each other. I still have bad days. At times I wanted to give up, but Tia has always been there to pick me up. I'm settled now. Things are stable. I've got people to help me. I'm making changes. I'm proud I never gave up. Pause gave me support, showed me how strong I am.
There was so much that was said this morning already, and conversations I've already had with people that resonate for me, even though I'm working in a slightly different space from where many of you are. And that's why I think there is a reason for Pause to be in an early intervention space, and these are the three main ones. The first thing is we're breaking that cycle, that transgenerational cycle. So for the next generation, we are the very earliest of intervention. We're intervening to prevent the cycle being repeated with the next generation of children. But there's also something really important that we do working with the women, which is that we always keep their children in mind. And we always work with them to think about where it's possible for them to have relationships with the children that have been taken into care, how they build those and how they make them successful and how they contribute to a more stable placement for children and how they contribute to the future of the child that's not in their care. And I think, again, in terms of the early intervention in a successful placement, that's where some of the really important work that we do is. And the final thing, which is a little bit more of a recent innovation, is that we've taken all the learning from working with women who have already had many children taken into care, and we've started to work with care leavers who have not yet had children. We're just piloting that work. We're doing some work in Doncaster and some work in Halton, and we're working in the same relational, trauma-informed, intensive, long-term way with young people to prevent the cycle of repeated or pregnancies that end up in the removal of children from happening. And we're starting to see some really positive results from those. When it comes to that breaking the cycle, the evidence base that we have, which was done by the University of Sussex in 2020, demonstrates that the local authorities that have a pause practice reduce the number of newborns being taken into care by 14 a year. So we are at the very start of that journey for the next generation. When it comes to relationships with their children, 88% of the women we worked with in 23-24 were still having some kind of contact with their children, and we were able to support them to strengthen that. Most of them come to us saying they don't really know how to do it or how to be supported to do it. So we do an awful lot of that, and 60% tell us that those relationships they have with their children improve. And finally, this early work that we're doing with young people who are leaving care and haven't had children, some of the really important stuff around that is around the foundations that they have. Our aim is for them not to need us. Our aim is for them to move into better relationships with services, better relationships with work, education, communities, friends, family. And we support them in exactly the same way, really, that we do the older women, but we just take a slightly different approach to it because they haven't yet been through the trauma of having children taken into care. There's a couple of quotes there, and this work is really in its early stages. But again, the more we understand about the women that we work with, the more we think about the work that could have been done for them before, and we try and put that in place at the earliest possible point. I've slightly rattled through that because I'm really conscious of time. I have put any questions, but what I thought was, since we go straight into lunch, if you have got questions, I'm really happy to hang around afterwards and answer them so that I don't take too much of a chunk out of the rest of Sarah's workshop. So thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Jules. And please don't go too far because you'll be on the panel at the end, so there is time for questions. Without any further ado, I'm going to invite Jade to come up to the stage and introduce herself and tell you about her work. Over to you, Jade.
Thanks so much, Sarah. I just want to say, Jules, it's a real honour and privilege to follow you and follow what you were saying, because a lot of my early life experiences I really resonate with what you're sharing there. So while they're kind of getting my presentation up, I just wanted to start by saying, hi, I'm Jade. I have the absolute joy and pleasure to lead the Step Up, Step Down programme for the Foster Network. And this has been, without a doubt, the most important jobs, I've had multiple jobs in this project, the most important work that I have ever done, because it's exactly what I really wish had been there for my family when I was younger, and I'm really delighted that it's here now, and I want it to be available for as many families as possible. And there's a young person called Rebecca who, when she was 10, said to me with real sincerity that this needs to be available for families who need it, and I'm taking that kind of mandate really, really seriously. So, without any further ado, we have, the Step Up, Step Down project started in Northern Ireland with a pilot. So I carry this little Irish proverb, which is not ours, we've borrowed it, with me pretty much everywhere I go. And it is, in the shelter of each other that the people live. And we've heard quite a number of folks, particularly the young people, saying it's not about surviving or treading water. It's about safety, it's about care, it's about thriving. It's about moving forward and belonging. I'm doing an all right job at coining what step up, step down is in one sentence, but I don't know, maybe some of you can help me do it better. It's really hard to get it into one sentence. But supporting children and young people to remain at home with their birth families where this, and this is the important bit, where this is the best and safest outcome for them through a partnership approach and innovative fostering. This is not about keeping children at home who need care placements. This is about keeping children at home who should be at home with the right support and where that is the best and safest outcome for them. I want the majority of this time to not be me that you're hearing, but to be the parents, the foster carers, the children and young people that you're hearing, because they're the ones that can tell you the real impact. And I'm just going to open it with a poem. This poem was written around Mothering Sunday, but what we did was we kind of broadened that out to think about parenting, to think about care, to think about foster care, and this poem is kind of a collection of things that were said in that workshop from the parents and carers that were there. Parenting is my granny giving me the eyes when I tried to feed our dog at the dinner table. Leaving hospital, getting to go on holiday. Parenting is painful, fearful at times, warm. Parenting is enjoying my kids. Nurture is listening, playing, holding, exhausting, love. Family is pulling out all the stops to open up a world of possibilities for our children, sharing smiles together. Caring is swooping up a crying toddler in the park when he falls, rocking him and singing, "Every little thing is gonna be okay." You're welcome. Caring is teaching them to swim, cheering from the sidelines. Keep going, you've got it. Relating is continuing to be, to grow, to learn to show love and affection. Attuning is applying now in my own parenting journey what wasn't known for my childhood. So that's a collection of kind of stories and experiences from some of the families that we work with. And I'm going to play this video, absolute cringe because I'm in it, okay, so I'm just going to be ignoring that. I want you to really, really focus on what the mum, this is Mara, and she has really generously shared some of her story. And Kristaps is her son, and he really generously shared his story. None of this was scripted. So I was there on the day. They were asked questions and they answered them. This is totally their own voice and story.
I just felt that this is my rock and this is what I'm going with, because I know I'm a good parent and I can do it, and they have my back no matter what.
Step Up, Step Down is a pioneering approach to supporting families with children on the edge of care. Step Up, Step Down has family support foster carers who provide mentoring and short breaks for the children. And then the fostering network and the local authority, or South Eastern Trust as it has been in Northern Ireland, work together in a collaborative partnership to deliver the service, which includes community supports, family activities, training and therapeutic nurture groups around the mentoring and short breaks.
It changed my life completely. I got really, really good support network. I got really good friends and other parents to share things with.
My favourite part of Step Up, Step Down really is that opportunity to support and to empower other parents. You just get to go on a journey with another parent and find out what's happening with them and how we can help and support them. And we try and do that in a very non-judgmental and holistic way.
My name is Kristaps, and I've been a part of Step Up, Step Down for a couple of years now.
Christoph is kind of really funny guy. He doesn't express his emotions much, but I can see that he's a lot more confident what he's doing, and he can find friends, which is very hard for him, which he can have laugh with and have common interests with.
When I was first involved in Step Up, Step Down, I was unsure if I wanted to, go on with it, because I didn't know what sort of things we would be doing, how long I would be there, what I would have to talk about. But once I actually got involved, it was amazing, really fun, and well, it just helped a lot. And my relationship with my mum has improved a lot since then. I've gotten better at, speaking, so I can actually talk about how I'm feeling. It made me feel safe.
So in the 7-year pilot, there have been 205 children so far have been supported by Step Up, Step Down, and 125 parents. I'm really pleased to say that 95% of children have been supported to remain at home safely with their birth families.
Obviously, the success of the project has huge financial implications for the Trust in terms of reducing admissions to care, reducing the number of children on our Child Protection Register, and ultimately has managed to prevent these children from having to access high-level costing placements such as residential care. Listen to the stories from our children, listen to the stories from our parents. Their stories are so emotive and heartwarming, and to hear firsthand, I'm getting emotional, to hear firsthand how they have benefited from the service it makes my job worthwhile when I see the outcome of what that does and what that actually means for the families.
Absolutely cracker, love it. Step Up, Step Down is not in any way rocket science. What it does need are the different puzzle pieces to fit together. And I've worked in a number of different roles where kind of a bit has been being done in a silo or short term. And what we really have to understand is that holistic picture of what families need. They tell us all the time. So we really do just have to listen. So we have family support foster carers in the golden box because they are without a doubt the gold. That's why this sits within fostering as well as safeguarding and family support and child protection. They are providing support to the parents through mentoring sessions each week and short breaks for the children and young people each month, as well as some additional crisis support. So we have seen situations where children could have entered care and actually have been able to go and be with the family support foster carers that they know and trust, that have a relationship with their family for a bit of an extended period of time, while we've been able to provide the right support at the right time for the parents, and that has actually prevented longer-term care admission with folks that the children didn't know. Just want to highlight the quote at the bottom. Our role is unique because we are foster carers. We can just do life with the families in a non-judgmental way. It's amazing how families open up to us. Parents tell us all the time, it's like a parent supporting another parent. The foster carers do not hold statutory responsibility around the children. They are able to do this supportive work in really creative, innovative, non-judgmental and trauma-informed ways. There's training and community supports, and at this point I just want to direct you to your tables. You'll find lots of goodies there. There are toys, please play with them. Why do adults not play as much anymore? We need to. And actually, a big shout out to the tech team who I found earlier jumping frogs all over the place, so that was great. Play with the toys, do the crosswords, do the puzzles. The reason that these things are here, when we do training, that has such a kind of formal sound to it, doesn't it? You kind of picture people sitting in rows, looking at a screen, just being quite passive. But what we actually do is we play, we create, we make, we go outside, and we will have topics and themes woven through that. So for example, we did a whole session on attachment with parents, and the whole time they were just making stuff, and we were having general conversations, weaving in all the different attachment styles, helping them think through their own attachment journey, their children's attachment journey, and it didn't feel intense or scary. It felt really safe. So I really do encourage you. I'm not going to assume if you're scribbling away and looking for words in a word search or doing your self-care plan or jumping frogs, I'm not going to assume that you're not listening to me. I'm going to assume that you're actually listening really deeply because you're doing kind of what your mind and your heart and your body need. Am I getting a nod for like 3 minutes? Okay. Better get to the good stuff then. You've heard all this already. So when we talk about being trauma-informed, for me, and for us as an organisation in the Fostering Network, it's really important that that doesn't mean a static thing, like we are now trauma-informed, tick, we've done the right training and we've arrived. What it actually means is that we're always asking the question, how can we become more trauma-informed? And that also means how can we become more inclusive, how can we become more accessible, because it's a movable, shapeable thing. And we always think about who holds the least power and the least privilege, and how can we take an equitable approach to that. So along the bottom, you can see some of the ways that we think about that in Step Up, Step Down. Introductions, language use, systems, activities, planning, endings. We have a soft endings approach so that it doesn't feel like the floor is dropping away when the service stops, but actually there are still lots of routes that families can continue to be supported by the programme. I really want to talk to these photos, but I don't have time, so I'm just going to let you see them and get a bit of a feel for some of the things that we do. You scundered, Bethany? You totally are. Bethany's in a photo. This pace plate on the bottom left, big shout out to DDP, Dan Hughes, absolutely love it. And pace, playfulness, acceptance, brackets attunement, curiosity and empathy. Amazing approach, and it has been life-changing, certainly for me personally and professionally, and for so many of the parents and carers that have come through the programme. And that plate was made by one of the parents who, at the start, very clearly in very graphic words, told us where to go and to do one, and that she'd had enough services and she wasn't interested. And then slowly but surely, through relationships, she did get involved. She created that plate. And I just think it speaks for itself in terms of some of the journey that she was going through. This is what she said. I enjoyed that. I struggle having to look into myself and what kind of parent or person I am. I want to be the best mum I can be, and I'm trying very hard. With my toddler, it's different. I have a great bond with her, and I'm a better person for her than I was when my son was growing up. So there's a parent that was saying, do one, no thank you, and showing some of that reflective journey that she's going into with relationships. So I'm going to absolutely fly through and just go to the end, because I think the most important thing to hear today is potentially this. This is Mike, not his real name. This is a case study that's based predominantly on one family with a couple of experiences from other families brought in. Everything's anonymized, but it's all true. So Mike is 11. He lives at home with his mum and his older brother and has limited time with his dad, and that can often be for him quite tricky emotionally. He experiences really low self-esteem. He experiences suicidal thoughts, and a lot of this can come out through violence, particularly towards his mum and towards his brother and the family dog. So we were really, really worried about the trajectory for Mike, and we were worried about his internal working model, his world, his experience. Karen Treisman would have described his world like shark-infested waters. The words that surrounded him were he's difficult, challenging, bad, none of which, of course, we believed in Step Up, Step Down. He was excluded from school, which led to his mum having to give up her job, and the trust or local authority, just means the same thing in Northern Ireland, They were looking for a therapeutic care placement, which for Mike would have meant that he would have had to leave the country because it doesn't exist in Northern Ireland. So that would have been so much more additional trauma for him. Step Up, Step Down took a really creative and needs-led approach. Sarah talked about solution-focused. So short breaks for Mike and his mum. He couldn't leave her. He literally couldn't leave her for quite some time. So short breaks were put in place for both of them. And slowly but surely, the foster care was able to kind of draw Mike over, you know, come and look in this rock pool with me, I see a crab kind of stuff. And was able to kind of start to build that safety for Mike, that you can go a little distance and you can come back, and that built and grew over time. Tuition was put in place and some learning support for Mike while he wasn't in school, which should have been put in place by the Education Authority, but wasn't, so we were able to respond to that. Personal passports for everyone to use that was absolutely created by Mike, and some support for his brother as well during this process. So in total, when we added up all the different things that everyone was doing, 1,000 hours of care were invested in Mike and Mike's family. This was over an 18-month period. It's usually 12 to 15 months, but we extended it in this circumstance. The trust were no longer looking for a care placement for Mike, and his mum had really embraced PACE and took a really, really attuned approach, thinking of him as a young toddler, rather than the big 16-year-old that she saw in her mind. So that was really impressive. He was removed from the Child Protection Register, and a school placement was provided for Mike, and at the point when Step Up, Step Down formal involvement ended, his mum was looking at going back to work, and the family relationships across the whole family had significantly improved. What did Mike say? It's important to be gentle with the dog, because she gets scared if you're loud and stuff. Being gentle makes her feel safe. I want to work with animals when I'm older. Don't think I need to say too much about that. I feel like I got my little brother back. And Mum, I stopped looking at him as a difficult 11-year-old. She was actually looking at him like an older teenager. Started thinking how I would respond if he was a wee distressed toddler who needed help to calm down. So I'm just going to leave it there, and I would like to end by saying thank you so much for listening. I'm around in the carousel tables later if you want to hear more about Step Up, Step Down, and basically this is just about doing the right thing at the right time.
Okay, thank you so much, Jade. So we're going to finish this session with a brief panel now. So I would like to invite the panel members to come up on stage. We've heard from Jules and Jade, so I'm going to start the panel by inviting our new panel members to give us a few minutes of overview of their organisation and your innovative practice. Come on up. And hopefully we will have time for some of the staff who are supporting in the room to bring round mics if anybody's got questions. So do start thinking if you've got questions, and hopefully we'll cover them and still make it to lunch. So I'm going to start at this end of the table. We've got Angela and Tracy. Do you want to introduce yourselves and tell us a little bit about your innovative practice in the early intervention?
Sure, yeah. Can everybody hear okay? Hi, I'm Tracy Gallagher, and I work closely with Angela. We're from Pengreen Centre in Corby, Northamptonshire, and we're an integrated centre that offers services for children and families, primarily from birth through to 5 years of age, so lots of early help, early intervention, very universal drop-in services, as well as much more specialised therapeutic targeted support for families. So really thinking about being alongside the family and finding from the family what they need right now, what help they need, and then us tailoring the support to really reach out to the families and provide the most appropriate support at the right time, at their pace, when they feel ready for it. We also have a range of early adult education services as well. So do you want to talk about? Just speak.
The mics are on.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks. So I'm Angela Prodger, I'm the other joint head, and Tracy's explained what our integrated centre offers, but we also have thought over the years, we've been established now for we're in our 43rd year, And we thought very long and hard about what our community needed and what they were asking for. So right from the beginning, we spoke to the community about what is it that you want. Don't tell us what you don't want. Come and tell us what you would like. They talked about failing in education, feeling let down by the system, and wanting more. So we developed our own research, development and training base where we're able to offer some lifelong learning opportunities from a level 1 qualification right through to masters. But also that through that opportunity, we've been able to develop the early years workforce, paying very particular importance, I suppose, on the integrated model, thinking about how we deliver a model which brings education, health and social care together in a non-judgmental way, not working in our silos and starting with the voice of the people that we meet. Thank you.
Can I introduce you, Vivian?
Hello, my name is Vivian Waterfield and I'm the Interim Chief Executive at a family support charity called Home Start. And I suspect that many of you in the room here will know a little bit about Home Start from your work locally. But I'll just say a few words about that. Interestingly, Home Start's been going 50 years now, but it still feels quite innovative and very fresh and very it's you know, much of the work that we do nowadays is quite groundbreaking, and it's always responsive to the needs of families and to the needs of local communities. A little brief introduction for those who don't know Home Start. Home Start believes that no parent should be alone in the critical task of bringing their children up. They play such a key role in that, and of course, as we've heard many times today already, it can be very difficult, it can be quite overwhelming at times for parents, particularly if they don't have support structures, networks around them, and they're facing challenges around their own emotional and mental health, and if they don't have access to information, if they're struggling with barriers to access services themselves. So Home Start's a community network of trained volunteers working in communities right across the UK. We have 180 local Home Starts, which if you know Home Start may be where you've come into contact with Home Start, and working in rural areas, big cities. We also have Home Starts working on British Forces bases in Cyprus as well. And our essential model, our core model, if you like, is a volunteer-led model. So we train and support local volunteers from the communities in which parents live to visit the parents and to stand alongside those parents, to visit them in their homes and to provide them with emotional help, practical support, to get them through, help them through the difficulties and challenges that they are facing. And it's a very powerful model. That non-judgmental peer support can make a huge difference over a period of time for a parent who is doing their very best but just struggling to move forward really in their lives. And what we're seeing, increasingly as well and have done over the last few years is, as well as that home visiting support, those local Home Starts responding to the needs of parents and the gaps in services that they see in their communities. And so they're developing specialist projects for dads. Our Big Dad Matters project is now growing considerably in Home Starts around the country. We're working with asylum-seeking families where facing real struggles around mental health, and families facing poverty. And one of the things that we do, as well as supporting and befriending parents, is to connect them with services in their community and to help them build their own support networks over time so that they can move forward in their lives and feel that they don't need Home Start anymore, which for us is always the best outcome, of course. So that's a brief introduction.
Thank you.
Got you right.
I'll only need one. Hi everybody, I'm Claire Burns. I'm the Director of Celsius based at the University of Strathclyde in Glasgow. We're a primarily Scottish Government funded improvement and innovation centre based around children's services, particularly children who need help, care, support and protection. And we have just quite recently done a significant piece of research around actually what will it take to provide early intervention for families? What do we know nationally and internationally about what's getting in the way of us, you know, particularly the implementation gap? And where do we need to focus our attention to make sure that we're providing a more enabling context for that? So things around anti-poverty strategies, support for the workforce, support for foster carers, that we're supporting carers. So it's a fantastic piece of research if folk want to go up to the Celsius website and have a look at it. But also what we're doing is we're really trying to bridge that research into practice gap. So we are out in local authorities working primarily with leaders to look at what is the research telling you that means you need to say and do things differently to make that shift to early help. And just to focus on, I hear quite a lot of people saying we need leadership at all levels, and we do, but the research is telling us that we need our very strategic leaders to do specific things, to enable workforces at every level to have the permissions, to have the capacity, to have the resources they need to work in a different way. So we are focused on working with leaders, and particularly leaders around things that they're not used to doing in their jobs, which is, what is the behaviours, what are the foundational skills that you need to collaborate more effectively across councils, across local areas? How do you decide on priorities and all come around those priorities? And I'm really committed to that focus, because the research is telling us that actually that's not skills that naturally people have if they've been in health or they've been in education or they've been in social work. Those specific collaboration skills they've not often worked on. And actually those are the key to shifting the whole system rather than social work trying to do something or education. Where are we building that consensus around priorities?
That's really helpful, thank you. I'm going to come and join you. I feel like we need to refer to whatever these are on the stage, because that would definitely be something we should tell our audience.
Okay, so I have this, and this is a baby's brain. This is the size of a baby's brain when they are born, and it weighs between 350 and 400 grams.
Try and hold the mic up to you if you can, just to make sure everyone's hearing at the back.
And this is what a baby's brain looks by age 2. Hence the reason for early intervention. Their brains have developed so much by 2. By 2, many children don't have a voice. They haven't developed their vocabulary. They're unable to tell us what's going on in their homes. And we have to be watching and really finding out, listening and attuned to very young children to know what's going on. This is our adult brain. So the brain at 2 years old is already 75% of our adult brain. So if you think of children who are living through traumatic experience, all of their early years, in those critical years, the damage that will be done to their brain by that age 2 or age 5 that we're working to. So that, you know, I really, really want to plug for more funding to be put into early years so that we can do more work and not wait until children are 5, 7, 11, 13. By that time, a lot of damage is done. Thank you.
Thank you. That's a really fantastic way, actually, to demonstrate the impact of that development, isn't it, and how important those early years are. I am now going to put it out to the room. So we've got some mics. If anybody has got any questions for the panel, I appreciate it's nearly lunch. And I know what happens to everybody in those moments before lunch, but it would be really good if anybody does have a question to put to the panel. Please just raise your hand and let us know. Fantastic, thank you.
Thank you. Good morning or afternoon. I'm Julie Gibney, I'm from the Isle of Man. I just wanted to ask a question about the step up, step down. Did you recruit particular foster carers for the step up, step down, or use and train the current carers that you had?
A mixture of both. So something that's really important to step up, step down is it's definitely not about poaching really good foster carers that are doing a great role. But what we did find was there were some foster carers that were expressing a particular interest in supporting birth families, There were also foster carers who were maybe a bit later on in their role, and they developed a lot of skills and experience that they wanted to be able to utilise well in their role. So for those foster carers, there was a top-up assessment to move them into step up, step down, and we also had kind of recruitment specifically to the step up, step down project.
And is it similar to the Mockingbird model? Do you have like a hub home carer with a... Are you
referencing Mockingbird? Yeah. So Mockingbird grew from the support care model, and Step Up, Step Down has a lot of roots in the support care model as well. It's not the same as Mockingbird, but the idea that family support foster care would be supporting up to 4 birth families at any one time. So they become a kind of confidant and an extended family member, so it's not dissimilar in that sense.
Thanks very much. It's fabulous, actually.
I think from my perspective, from seeing both parts of those, both Mockingbird and Step Up, Step Down. Step Up, Step Down is about prevention, and so is Mockingbird, but they prevent different things. Step Up, Step Down is preventing more children and young people from becoming looked after and keeping them in their families and keeping that level of stability, whereas Mockingbird is preventing young people from having to have constant transitions once they are looked after and helping them build that stability and community. Any other questions? We've got one over there, thank you. Oh, we've got 2. I think we'll go to the gentleman in the white shirt and then to the back to the lady in the beautiful coral top.
Hi, my name is Jevan. I'm a police officer, currently working on missing people. And we were just talking about 85% of all missing cases that I work on are children. Now, Step Up, Step Down has really intrigued me. Because I can list, children off the bat that are in dire need of something like this. At the moment, we locate them, we bring them home. We locate them, we bring them home. I had a situation recently where a mum rang me on my work phone when her child was not missing, and she was just breaking down crying. Is there anything you can do? It's difficult, I can't have her at home, but I want to. And working with social services, there wasn't a lot. So I guess my question is, do you guys plan to expand to London? Say yes.
Yeah, I think really what a lot of us have said on the panel is that whether it's early years, whether it's early help, whether it's prevention, whether it's a bit further down the line, and I would certainly advocate for it's absolutely never too late. The neuroplasticity of the brain shows that we can do lots and lots and lots at any point when a family is ready, basically. I think that all of us would really want to see exactly what you're describing shift and transform for families to be in a healthier and happier place, genuinely. In terms of Step Up, Step Down, we certainly are looking. We're at a rollout stage at the minute. So we have the findings from the pilot from Northern Ireland. We've extended to 2 local authorities in Wales. We're exploring with Scotland and England opportunities to extend there. I wish it was easier. I just wish the systems were easier. But one thing I do want to say is that our Economist report found that preventing 1 young person from entering residential care or bringing 1 young person home from residential care supports the full programme in a demonstration site for a local authority.
I just wanted to say that although Home Start, the moment of referral to Home Starts is in the early years when children are under 5. Of course, many of those parents will have children who are older as well. So and we support the whole family unit, and we do have Home Start projects right across London. So if you wanted to connect with Home Start and think about working more in a preventative space, there will be on our website a whole range of Home Starts working right across London that you could contact and have some conversations with.
Brilliant, thank you. And I'll just add, because I know they're not in the room, but the Department for Education have had several presentations in respect of Step Up, Step Down, as have many local authorities right across the UK. And whilst at local authority level, most people say we really need this, because more than anything else, we need to stop the numbers of children that are currently coming through. If we could give this to the families that we're working with, we would save ourselves huge amounts of money, huge impact on children's lives, and save families that desperately need to be helped. The challenge that we have is our lack of ability to invest right now in the UK. The UK is not thinking about investment in children. They are thinking about prevention and crisis, and that's the consistent cycle that we're in. It's one of the reasons that we as an organisation have supported Fatima in her work, because she is trying to bring about change in a way that I don't think has been done before, because I've never had a conversation with somebody from the police around this. We work in silos. You mentioned it earlier, Claire. One of the things that we could do to have significant impact would be to talk to each other about how we could all be working together better. We talk about doing that a lot. We think about it. We all know it's the thing to do, but actually the system prevents it from happening. Health don't understand the language that social care speak. Social care speak a different language to education. Foster carers and children and young people and their families are at the end of it, and none of us can actually get it to work properly. So it's a brilliant question. We've got one more at the back.
Hello, I'm Nyashan, founder of Banya. Some of the questions have already been asked, but I really wanted to commend this panel, this workshop. I've always thought that we need to nip this in the bud in doing preventative work. About last year, I was interviewed by somebody and I said, my aim in life is for a child never to be coming in the foster care system. So I'm really encouraged, inspired about such work, about preventing children coming into care system in the first place.
Thank you so much for sharing those reflections. I think that view would be something that is shared by everyone in this room. What we need is support governments, and particularly officials who are responsible for the policy of our country, to be thinking the same thing and to have the same vision. And what they need is vision and very good strategic leadership. So anybody on the panel would like to share anything else before we allow people to eat lunch? Of course.
I would just like to say that in Corby, where we're based, we offer something that's called our local area board, and that does bring all disciplines together, and we're able to invite in whoever we want. So there are opportunities for us to work together, but it takes somebody to drive that and to go with the children, families and community in mind about who needs to be around the table when we're thinking about what our offer and service is and where we need to develop it. So if you haven't tapped into the local area board, there should be local area boards in your locality. Thank you.
And just to, I think the other thing is we're now talking about something that's actually a programme of working in itself, and it's really tricky work, and it's also about saying it's not enough for people to get together because there are power dynamics in that. You know, what came through in our research was third sector, social work feel they're never the most powerful organisation in the room. They're not making the decisions. And that's some of the work, that parity of esteem is some of the work that we need to, and we also have to talk about the fact that some organisations are going to have to relinquish some power and some money. And those are the kind of conversations I think we need to start having with our officials. And those are, you know, that's the level of conversation we're having.
Such good points. Finances drive most of the decisions that are made about children in our country. That is the reality on the ground. It's financial and nothing else. That shouldn't be the state that we're in. I'm going to draw us to a close. What I would say is that the next breakout session this afternoon at 2:30 is carousel tables, where if you're not already presenting on one, you are very welcome to join back. So if you want to find out more about any of these organisations, I know we've got one on Step Up, Step Down. I know that Poole's are doing one or are welcome to do one. And there's 10 others. I don't remember what they all are, but it's carousel tables so people can find out more about other innovative practices in this area. And now I have to ask you to all go to lunch, and I'm asked to make sure that everybody knows that at 2 p.m. you need to be back in the Great Hall, please. So it starts again at 2 o'clock. And before we go, Before we go, we're asking everybody to, in each of the breakout rooms, there is a pledge tree. And we're asking you to write your pledge before you leave every room, what it is that you've taken, what you pledge to do, what you will take away as an individual from this session, or pledge to do for the children and young people of our country that need you to pledge for them. And finally, can I have one last big round of applause for the wonderful panel, please?